I'm particularly proud and happy about the young filmmakers, actors, singers, writers, producers that are coming up behind my generation. In particular, Barry Jenkins. Young people understand this young man made 10, 15, 20 short films before he got the opportunity to make Moonlight. So never give up. Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson, P. Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Michael T. Williamson, no Stephen McKinley Henderson, no Russell Hornsby. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.
Welcome. You're in the studios of WLTT 1180 AM, coming to you out of the port city of Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm your host, Dawood Elamine. The show is called No Covers Live, Straight Talk, No Chaser. Comes on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 12:30 to 1:30. Show is designed to give us a uncovered look of news, things, and events, attitudes, and ideas that's prevalent in our community today. It's Afrocentric base, but we're open to everyone as well. Welcome. It is Monday, June 25th, 2018. Before I get started today, this is the third day, and it's the last day of this topic, Black communities' addictive behavior. And I'll give an intro to that in a minute. But before I get started on this last day, I want to thank everyone that came out to the Making Impact banquet over the weekend. It was a wonderful event. If you missed it, I'm sorry. We had a great turnout, great time. I want to thank everyone who supported the radio station in making that event. You wasn't upset about the tickets. You came, you enjoyed yourself, you got the food, you enjoyed a good, wonderful message. I mean, a wonderful message, and got to meet a lot of people. I saw a lot of networking going on. That was great. Whenever we do an event like that, that was great that I saw the networking and the conversation. I was strolling around, going from table to table, kind of eavesdropping, trying to make sure the right people were sitting together and talking together. And I saw a lot of networking going on, a lot of community building. That's what we need. Whenever we get into events like that, whenever we get into programs, we need to build. Very powerful night, very enjoyable night. We didn't turn out Waffle House, so it was a good thing. We went home safe. Downtown was still intact when we left. People were dressed accordingly, well-rounded group. I love the highlight. I said the highlight of the night was seeing my two brothers, Brother Jameson and Brother Bishop Utley. Two brothers that I have battled with over the years. We have had our ups and downs, and it was interesting. It's interesting the way God works things out. You know, sometimes you just put it in the hand of God. We have had our, boots in the ground, and myself and Bishop and myself, we've had some run-ins. Not run-ins where we just hated each other, though. That was a good part about it. Whenever we ran in, we just had a difference on strategy. A lot of times you can have more than one strategy. And if we had any conflict, it wasn't on doing the work. It wasn't on the community and our love for the community. It may have been our strategy or our approach to doing some things. And they might have not seen my approach to doing some things at the time. I might not have seen theirs, but we never walked away. That was a good part of seeing us together, because we never walked away in so much of an angry mode that we didn't talk to each other the next time. We see many times I see that in the community. We just walk away and we can't deal with each other at all. I'm done with you and I'm done. I'm gonna be done with you. There are situations where they have to be done with a person. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes there are situations people say, well, somebody told me the other day, big brother Sam said, how you just can be done with one of your brothers? There comes a time in a situation that at times you get to a certain point and I have to cut you loose. Now, that's nothing wrong with that. I'm black is black. But if you cross a certain line that you start to take from my table, or that you start to cause me some pain or health problems, that I'm worrying, that I'm stressed, and you causing me more damage than good, you got to go. I'm sorry, I don't care how black we are. We can be brothers. We still brothers. We still sisters. But if you causing me pain, no, we got to go. Because we don't have time. Sometimes I don't have time. So sometimes you have to cut a loss and move on to the next street and move and make forward progress. Now, I may come back years later and grab your hand, but I got things to do ahead. We have to move on. And so that was a good event. I'm glad we had a good time. I'm glad everybody enjoyed himself. Now, the third day, and I'm going to wrap this up today. And anyone in the call in, the number is 910-765-0097. I'm going to wrap this up with this addictive behavior. You already want to chime in online or chime in, calling in, but I'm going to try to wrap this up, and then I'm going to put this out in the paper, and anyone wants a copy of it, you can welcome to share it. I'm going to put it on Facebook, and you can get it. The way we got here was addictive behavior. To recap real quick, I was looking at the condition of the people that I work with on my other job, and that is I work with people that are struggling with addiction. I have the privilege of working with people coming out of prison. So a lot of times over the last 2 or 3 years, we're getting short cases. Now, long cases, people that have been in for 5, 10, and 15 years don't have to struggle with addiction so much because they pretty much conquered it while they're inside. But when you get a person that was on cocaine or heroin or on crack or had an opiate problem, and all of a sudden they only spent 6 months to a year in prison, where they come out and they're still struggling with that addiction. So over the course of time, I've been able to develop strategies in my line of work for others to use by researching strategies to look for when a person is struggling with their addiction. And out of those, I chose 7 signs. And those 7 signs, and I looked at them over time, they were denial, unsuccessful attempts to quit. They had what they call cued trigger relapse. They didn't stay vigilant. And they had a cross addiction, meaning they would use other drugs. Then the last 3 was loss of control, self-medication, and genetic vulnerability. Now, those are 3 I want to tackle today. Because in doing this process, when I observe the addict or person, we don't like to use the term addict. And that was bad of me to say that. We like to say a person struggling with addiction, because labels label people. Instead of calling a prisoner a convict, we like to say a person formerly incarcerated. So when I looked at people struggling with addiction, I saw the same behaviors in the community that I live in. In the African American community, I saw us struggling with the same behaviors, not the addiction behaviors, but the behaviors as a people. There were things and behaviors that we display every day in our day-to-day activities with each other, in our day-to-day communication, in our day-to-day movement, and trying to do business and trying to develop strong ties in the community politically. There are behaviors that we have within ourselves that can only be cross-references to that behavior of addiction. So when I looked at that behavior, I began to see, okay, here are some things. Well, here's the same way we can heal a person struggling, we can heal ourselves. So now, the 5th one was loss of control. The person that's addictive, they tend to go from one, and a person that's struggling with addiction, they're either on the short end or the long end, and usually they're on the long end. They lose control. The drug takes them to the extreme. The drug takes them overboard. The drug takes them where they spend unnecessarily, do things unnecessarily, steal from their parents, steal from their children, steal from stores, steal, just to get the drug that they want, the drug of choice. So that 5th sign of the addiction, if they just lose control, they have a sense to go overboard. They take things to the extreme. They don't know when to stop. They don't know when to put a halt sign and say enough is enough. Now, I said cross-reference. Look at our community. Look at our community, and you tell me that's not a problem where we take things overboard. We don't know when to stop. Mama said, give you an inch, you take a yard. Give you a yard, you take a mile. Give you a mile, you want to drive the car. You don't want to stop. There's no stop. There's no stop sign. Case in point, I'm gonna use something simple. When I was coming along, and I'm talking about something that I have a couple of tattoos on me. When I was coming along, that wasn't our thing. You see in the early 70s, 80s, you see somebody with a tattoo, they had to be in the military. That wasn't a tattoo, wasn't a thing of ours. We wasn't tattoos, earrings, lip rings, piercings, belly button piercings. That wasn't our thing. Tip it away 10, 15, 20 years. We don't know when to stop. We take it to the extreme. We lose control of everything. We're going to put one, we put them on the eye, we put them in the head, we put them across the forehead, we put them across here, we put them all over. We even put them to the point where the military has to reject us. I've got about 5 young men I know right now that want to go in the military but can't get in because tattoos are too many places. Didn't know when to stop. Didn't have a cutoff. Too busy copying somebody else's style. No control, loss of, just like the person struggling with addiction. We don't know when to say no. We don't know when to stop. We take everything. A new style come out. We take it to the extreme. We took we took a jailhouse style and took it to the extreme. We didn't know when to stop. We didn't know how to stop. The same behavior that we see, the same behavior displayed in our community, we see right over there with a person struggling with addiction. They don't know when to stop. Even in our spending, we don't know when to stop. We don't know how to budget. Every to the extreme. Something new comes out, we have to have it. Brand new Cadillac sitting outside of you renting. Don't know when to, no guidelines, no barriers. None. No stop zone. The same with that. The sixth sign was self-medication. Now, self-medication is described as, because I'm going to wrap this up today. I'm going to put this in a book form. The sixth sign was self-medication. And the way a person reads the self-medication is a person that self-medicates, that is addicted. The person uses drugs and alcohol to treat some kind of depressive state or mental health disorder. That's how a person usually becomes self-medication. The drug becomes a form of self-medication. Nowadays, you go to the doctor and you're dealing with depression, they give you Zoloft, which is another form of medication. You can get hooked on that too. Or there are some natural forms to deal with your self-depression. There are some natural ways that you can deal with some of these mental health disorders you have. But a lot of times the mental health ability, the mental health discourse or conduct that we have, that we follow, a lot of times people fall into traps of using the drug to self-medicate. They may start off with a pain that they're dealing with, and it becomes pill after pill after pill, and they end up getting hooked on painkillers. They may be depressed, and you start off alcohol. You start off with one drink, then it's 2 drinks, then it's the whole bottle, then it's 2 bottles. Then it's just sitting at home all day long. They start off with the crack. It gets them excited. It gets them hot. It gets them hyped up energy. Or they start off with the heroin. It gives them a good feeling. But then because some people call it recreational use. We don't go, when it comes to the person that's really strong, the person that's struggling with addiction, there is no thing called recreational use. They don't know recreation. They know going to the gym and balling out all the way. There is no recreation. Again, with us, we self-medicate sometimes. And to my spiritual community, I'm very spiritual. But sometimes we use our faith to self-medicate. And we use it to the extreme sometimes that we forget the real conditions that face our community. I run into people, and you know who I'm talking about. I used to be that way myself one time. We can get so caught up in who we are and what we want to be faith-wise, that we forget to say, there for the grace of God, go I. We get so caught up into where our community development at, that we forget as a community to look at deeper into the culture of our community, or to the folks of our community, and help them where they're in the need of help at. Help guide them and bring them out into the need of where they need to be guided and brought out at. Our faith sometimes we can go overboard. See, even if our faith, I'm tying into something here. He's a wonderful person. He sometimes make me tired. I walk right into something because I was going to use faith and I walk right into something. Sometimes I can take my faith and display it to the point that I don't understand the next person. When I don't understand the person, I'm going to use the addiction, for instance. I see sometimes the faith-based group don't even understand the addict or the person struggling with addiction. I don't know how that person can be like that. Are you mean to tell me they just can't stop they can't stop and put the drug down? Well, we do the same thing with our faith. We get so wrapped up in it that we can't see another person's point of view, or understand another person's idea, or let another person just be who they are. And if that's who they want to be, let them be them. Nah, we got to take that book or that books that we have and we got to beat them upside the head with it as if we gods. We got to keep beating and browbeating and browbeating and browbeating them as if we the actual God. There's only one. The last time I checked, he loved us all. The last time I checked. It's called self-medication. Sometimes we use our own faith to self-medicate in our own community. And sometimes it comes to the point that we so caught up in behind doors in the mosque, where we so caught up in prayer and service and study, that when we come out to the people don't even recognize us. You can actually be people of faith. You can actually be like that. You can actually be so caught up that you become spooky. And you're so caught up in your belief, your system, that your system is right. Your system is the only one that's right. Your system is the only one that has any kind of hope of salvation. And you can be so caught up in that when you come out to the people, the average person, they look at you like, who is that? Because we become spooky to them. And we can't communicate effectively to them to help bring them up out of the condition, because they look at us as they're getting beat down. And we become spooky. And the whole purpose of us coming out was to come behind them walls and try to reach and save people, and we end up losing them because we don't know how to communicate to them properly. We end up losing our young people. Some of us even lose our children because we don't know how to communicate to them properly, because we've become self-medicated with our own dosage. That is my way or the highway. If you're not going to accept my way, then take the byway. That kind of attitude gets us nowhere as a community. It gets us straight to the other way. You know which one I'm talking about. The mission that we in. That's why we're in that condition. The last one I want to touch on today is the genetic vulnerability. What we notice in the recovery work that we do is that we notice a condition of genetic vulnerability. That means that if my father was I always testify on myself. I've struggled with substance abuse from time to time. I had an uncle, my favorite uncle, and everybody in the family said I'm just like him. And I had to make a decision in my life because I didn't want to end up my life like him. But I found as I got older and older and older, I became more and more like him in certain ways. And so I use him sometimes as my help, my help, because I understand the genetic vulnerability of that I have for substances. So I use that in my work. I use that to teach my people I work with to look at the genetic vulnerability. We look at the genetic code. We look at the genetic family. Most of the time, if there's a person struggling heavy, it's within the family, the mother, the father, a cousin, or aunt, or uncle that have had the similar issues. It becomes a genetic trait that's passed on from generation to generation. So what we do in our line of work in recovery is we try to help the individual break the genetic vulnerability by recognizing who that person in the family is that they remind themselves of. So for me, it's my uncle. I try to take a picture of him and remember his face, so I know this is what I'm struggling with. So I can put a picture on my struggle. And when you can put a picture on it, we can connect that person in the family. Like, okay, there was Uncle Joe, Uncle Ben, Billy. This person, they had this habit, and so if you can put a face on it, then you can put the face of what not to be. And so we do that with people that are struggling. We try to search their history and we say, okay, remember how they passed, remember how they left this earth. Remember how they left from here. You don't want to leave that way. You don't want to leave it debtless, poorless, broke. You don't want to leave owing anybody. You don't want to leave in that manner. And when we're able to put a face on it, the person in recovery is able to grow because now they can see, I don't want to be that. Okay, let's look at the community side. We have a different thing of genetic vulnerability. How does it work in our community? In the Black community, here's how we do genetic vulnerability. Genetic vulnerability for the behaviors that we do. We call it family disposition. So I'm going to give you 4: poverty, health, education, and marriage. Watch this. Poverty, health, education, and marriage. I'm going to say poverty for last. Health. My mother may be a diabetic. The father may have had heart trouble. So why are you going to do the same? If you already know that within your family disposition, you have a disposition for heart attack. See, that's why when you go to the doctor, they ask you for your family history. If you already know that in your family, you have a family disposition for heart attacks, you have a family disposition for diabetes, why would you continue the same process that caused the family or the person that you know to be in the same situation? Why wouldn't you recognize that within your family, you like certain things that's going to cause you to lead to heart failure? You like certain foods that you shouldn't eat that's going to cause the heart. So what? It's a family. So what? Soul food is a family tradition. If you know it's bad for you, don't eat it. But it's a family tradition. Well, it's a family disposition for you to have a heart attack. It's a family disposition to have diabetes. But if you know that there are certain foods within your diet that are not good, if you know the salt is not good, try sea salt. And this is not Healthy Living Friday, but we're there already. We skipped Friday this week, so you get a dose of it today. If you know in the health factor that there is in your family, there has been a history of chronic illness that has been developed not from birth, but has been developed from eating the wrong food, not exercising, not living healthy, not shopping for the right food. Well, this is the way my mother shopped. If your mother shopped and it was the wrong, correct it. These are the foods that we grew up eating. If the foods you were eating grew up were wrong, correct it. Well, I was fat as a child. So what? Doesn't mean your child have to be fat as a child or obese as a child just because you were obese as a child. Oh, here's the good one. We just big boned people. Knowing that over time, the weight is going to cause problems. Or we just a big boned family. Family disposition. We continue the same thing as the person over here struggling with the addiction. We have the same family disposition. We'll say, here's the reason why, and give an excuse of why we continue the same behavior from generation to generation to generation. Schindler's got to go, y'all. I'm sorry I wasn't supposed to be talking Healthy Living Friday, but they got to go. Just because it's been a family tradition to pass down, they got to go at Thanksgiving and Christmas. Education. Well, my father graduated from high school. My mother graduated from high school. I guess that's okay. No, it's not. It's not okay. Not in 2018. It's not okay for you to teach your child it's okay just to have a high school diploma just because your family only had high school diplomas. That's not okay. It's not acceptable. Not in a free education society. Yes, this is a free education society where they have to pay to go to college. Not if you get good grades. This is a free education society for those who get good grades. You get good grades, you have to pay a dime. You might not go to the school you want to go to, so I get you in school. You get good grades, I get you in college, and you won't have to pay a dime. I get you 4 years. And if you keep getting good grades, I get you the master's. You get good grades, I get you the PhD. Guaranteed. As long as you get those A's and B's. And that's easy because, as my professor told me, going to school is nothing but regurgitation. It's easy to get A's. This is a lesson parents to teach your children. I taught our mind. Teach them how to regurgitate. My professor told me in college when I was struggling, my third year of college, I had a class that I was struggling with. And he said, it's simple. Just regurgitate. The way I give it to you, give it back. Just chew it up. That's all he said. Take it in, chew it up, and throw it back up. You ain't got to keep it. Because the struggle I was having was trying to keep his ideas, and I didn't believe in them. He said, I want you to believe in ideas. I just want you to take the test and pass. So the way I give it to you, regurgitate it, give it back to me. I'll take it back home. We good to go. I learned how to regurgitate in college. And I was able to pass my college classes because I learned the process that education was important. It is unacceptable. Well, some children just get a high school diploma. Thank you. Proud. I'm glad you graduated. To all the graduation people, those that graduated, I applaud you. You did it through 12 years. But in 2018, as a parent, for me, it's unacceptable to tell my child it's acceptable to just have a high school diploma because that's all I had. Because I understand if they really want the things that here's the problem. If they want the things out of life that they want, unless they have a trade or skill, and you're going to have to get those with a higher education nowadays because they no longer teach vocational classes in high school. So in education, we shouldn't be passing on this genetic vulnerability just because the family member before didn't get it, or just because my mother and father didn't go to college, it's okay. Or just because you didn't go to college, it's okay for your child not to go to college because you're setting them up in failure in their life because they're going to want things in this life. And they're going to want things that cost money. They're going to want things that needs a good job to get it. They're going to want what they see on TV. And they're going to want these items. In order to get these items, they're not going to be able to get them working a 9-to-5 job making $8,000 an hour. They're going to be struggling. They're going to be just making ends meet. And sometimes they're going to have to work 2 or 3 jobs and they're going to get frustrated. And then sooner or later, someone's going to come to them and offer them an illegal way to make money, and they're going to take it and accept it. And the next thing you know, you're looking at them behind the bars of a jail cell versus looking at them walking across the stage going on with their life because we fell into the genetic vulnerability that it's okay to be uneducated. It's not okay anymore. Not in our community. Not with the amount of grants that I see every day. Not with the amount of opportunities that I see every day. Oh, the school system is poor? Then you go to the library and create a better one. If not someone on your neighbor's house or someone who has graduated and has an education, ask them to help your child. Call me. I'll come. 910-547-6674. Call me. Go to nocovers.com. Find me. I'll come help you. If I can't find you a tutor, I'll help get you a tutor. It's not okay for your child to just get D's and F's and wander around the school all day long, wasting the opportunity that sits in front of them because we wasted the opportunity. Not okay for them to be the class clown because you was the class clown. It's not okay for them to get suspended from school because you got suspended from school. It's not okay for us to keep this genetic vulnerability going. The same way the person with it, I have to point it out so you can see it. Just like I did with the person struggling with addiction. I got to point Uncle Charlie out, point Uncle Jimmy out so you can see it. You acting just like Uncle Jimmy, son. Marriage. Genetic vulnerability. Marriage. My mama was a single mom and I did okay. I came out all right. My mom and dad was divorced. They made it all right. We did okay. Genetic vulnerability again. We run away from marriage. We run away from the institution of marriage. We run away from even living together now. We run away from the responsibility of our children. It's not okay, man. It's not okay, man. It's not okay, man, for you not to be in the household. It is not acceptable anymore. Oh, you like me or not? You don't have to live there to be in the household. You don't have to. You can be there. Oh, right. She wouldn't let me in. Not go. Stay on the front porch. It's not okay. It is not okay it's not okay. Michael, you're correct. It is not okay for us to gamble the rent away, gamble the mortgage away, gamble the future away playing the lottery, playing scratch offs. Back in the day, it was numbers. They found a way to legalize it. Harlem, it was numbers. In New York, it was the numbers. It was what the hope there. Get hope. It is not okay for you to throw your money away in ticket after ticket after ticket after ticket, and you're storing your children's future away, and your children can't even get a decent college education. We got lotto tickets thrown away everywhere. Front seat, back seat. It's not okay. And it's not okay to keep wasting the money that you have. You want to have fun with a little bit? Okay, yeah, I understand. I'm not beating you up. Have a little fun. I see people at the counter is holding me up. It's not okay for you to let my coffee get cold while you sit there and try to get scratched 100,000 ticket after ticket. Got a whole envelope. Got them like the coupons booklet. And my coffee getting cold because she got to sit over there and bring ticket after ticket after ticket. And she's the only one working the shift because they making money off you and my coffee getting cold. That ain't okay no more, Mike. Not okay. Not okay. Yes. I know, bro. I have to because I can use myself as a mirror. He said I'm being personal. I have to. I have to use myself as a mirror. It's not okay for you not to be involved in their lives at all, man. No, it's not okay. You have to find a way to get back in. You have to find a way to make sure you connect with your children. If she remarried and she got a new boyfriend, so what? Once you get an attitude, you still connect with your children. You go visit. You go pick them up. You remember their birthdays. But it's not okay for you to sit there and wait until I saw this recently. Wait until graduation day. And they walking across the stage. And it's like hurrah, hurrah. And they ain't seen you in 12, 15 years. That ain't okay. That's not okay. Not in this day and age in 2018. It's genetic. We're passing the same traits over and over again. The last one I get to, and we wrap it up for the day, poverty. Michael, you love this one. It's not okay for us to be broke anymore. It's not okay that when we ride through our cities, we know what the hood looks like. Go to any city and we know when we run into the black community. That's not okay anymore. It's just genetic vulnerability. We're passing it down from one generation to the next generation to the next generation. Even if you live in the projects, it's not okay for you to have dirt in your front yard. Grow some grass. This is because you live there. I know folks that live in the projects, and you go and they have some of the most beautiful yards because they take care of them as if they're theirs. I remember Sister Frida used to live over in the creek. When you go to her front, she had azaleas blooming. She had grass on her front. She had her own system. She made sure she watered it, and she took care just like it was hers. Because it wasn't okay for her to walk out her front door and her children saw dirt and didn't have grass to play in, so she made them grass and planted them a beautiful garden to walk out in. And she dared anyone to come mess her grass up. It's not okay for us to continue the same behaviors just because we have a genetic vulnerability for those behaviors. That's not okay in 2018. It's not okay for us to continue to be like the person struggling with addiction in our community. Our communities are struggling with poverty, with health, with education, with marriage. Those 4 issues. I have a son that got married early, and I knew he was going to do it because he's just like me. And he got married early. He's been struggling. But I struggle with him because I know what he goes through in his struggle. He's trying to maintain a family and keep a family together. He's trying to make sure he completes that institution. It's a struggle nowadays with our young people. They get children. They have children out of wedlock, which is common nowadays. Once they have the child out of wedlock, then it becomes a battle. I've got situations right now working with brothers and sisters in the community that battling already before the child is here. Really. There's some young men out there right now that are battling with females for custody or for rights before the child even gets here because they got pregnant or she got pregnant outside of wedlock, and then they're battling already because if in the process she didn't go in one way and he didn't go in another way. And then there's a child in the middle that's going to be torn between 2 parents for probably the most of their life. They don't understand the concept of blended families because it's not taught. I tried to teach the concept of blended families one time to a Department of Social Service conference, and they like to ran me off the stage because I was teaching young people how they could blend their families together and take care of the children, because what's the most important are the children. There's there's a group out in North Carolina. They're on my page sometime. You'll see them. They are fighting for the rights of both parents. So both parents have the rights to children. It's not okay to split these children down the middle anymore, because we were split down the middle because of genetic vulnerability. That we, it becomes comedy at times. I know what's the little short guy, Kevin Hart, has this program, this monologue that he talks about his father. And he uses it as a comedy to talk about how his father wasn't there and how he was treated and how his father had to sit on the doorstep. And he's another good comedy scene with it. That's not okay anymore, because people are laughing at us. That's not okay to be laughed at in 2018 and beyond. It's time for us to get it together, people. Time for us to get our act together. Time for us to grow up and become a better community. Mike, I want to say I love you, bro. I see you. We did some work this weekend. Indeed, we dumbed down from $500 to $600 to $700 a week. Yeah, we do. Yeah, I've always said what the messenger said on welfare. Farewell to it. It's always been my thing. Farewell to it. I've always said that the end of it would be the best thing we could ever do for us. I know a lot of people will be out. It's going to bring some families back together, because a lot of times these situations are able to exist because of the system. That the system is not, believe me, the system is set up to fail us by design. But once we acknowledge that, so I'm going back to the steps. Once we acknowledge, it's something I wrote today earlier. Once we acknowledge this fact that this system is not set up in our behavior, for our success, we can get somewhere. We still think that this system wants to include us. 100%. They don't. I'm sorry. Why would it? It can't fit. The world that we live in, the system that we live in, this is something we have to come to grips with. And it's hard. It's so hard. I wrote it in one of my books. It's a hard pill to swallow. Everyone can't fit into this box 100%. Everyone can't have 100% of what they want. So the majority that has the majority of what it wants, every time it gives away a percentage, it gives away a percentage of what they want. So if they got 80% of what they want and you got 20% of what you want, when you get 30%, they got 70%. When you get 40%, they got 60%. When you get 50%, they got 50%. So then it becomes a gridlock. So this is when it gets tight right now, because it's tight right now. This is what's happening right now in the country. Is you get your 50% and you getting your really 19%, but they still getting their 81%. And it's getting closer and closer to 50. And the closer they get to 50, getting gridlock. Because they know once you get 50, you're going to want 100. You're not going to start with 50. This system already knows once they give you 50, they give you 19 right now. Once they give you 50%, once you see what that looks like, you're going to want the whole 100. And the 100 is going to have to come from somewhere and somebody. So when you get 60%, they now got 40. When you get 70% of what you want, they only got 30. When you get 80%, they only got 20. That's the way the world works. So you only have one or two or three options. The first one is you can accept your 90%, go to work tomorrow, come home happy, and stop complaining. And just accept it. It is what it is. But you ain't gonna do that. You can keep fighting within this system. That's your second option. To keep getting that piece of the pie they don't have to get you. Because I remember I just explained to you, the pie they give to you, they tend to take from themselves. That piece of pie they're giving you, they have to take it from themselves now. So as I said in book number 1, second book I wrote, first book I wrote, the third option, you either have to take the system or build your own. You got to make your own pie today. You either got to take their pie or make your pie, because they're not giving it up. And why would you expect them to? They're not giving it up. So you are down to our community is down to those options. You either take your 19 to 21%, go to work, go to your job, come home, go on vacation, enjoy your air conditioning, enjoy your car, go to church on Sunday, come back and go on vacation again, go back to work, pay your mortgage, go back home, don't worry about politics, don't worry about economics, don't worry about anything else. Just take your 19, 20 something, be happy. Or you can spend the rest of your life fighting and complaining, thinking you're going to get that other 50%. And I'm going to keep telling you, that 50% got to come from somebody. And they done show you they're not giving up their 50%. If you can spend your whole life, like many of you have, and continue to fight for that 50%, you ain't getting it. If you get it, this country is not going to be here. So now you got two options. Take it. Let me take it. Or we can come build it. So Michael was talking this weekend about me. Hey, yeah. He was talking about buying some of this property up. So I like that idea. He said he came to me and said, let's buy some property. See, that's taking it. We have to keep waiting. We can start joining together and start buying up some property, buying up some businesses, opening some businesses, building our own economic empire, building our own educational system from K1 all the way to 12th grade, then start with colleges. Umar, we still waiting on that college though, we ain't forgot. And them dollars that we sent you, we're going to hold you accountable for them in a minute. Because you better produce a school this year by 2019. We haven't forgot about you. And we're going to stop people from taking, from ripping off our community. I even thought about this weekend, the situation that's going on in the Tulsa group. And I was going to invest in the Tulsa group, but I changed my mind. And I was strong on the Tulsa group, but I changed my mind. Here's why. I don't like the way that the Tulsa group displays themselves as some kind of rap machine, as some kind of Mongol mogul. You sitting out here living large and you asking people for money. If you live in that large, you don't need my money, number one. The second reason why am I going to invest in the Tulsa group? Why don't we start the Wilmington group? Because in that thought process, now I need to invest my money where I live at. And among those people who live closer to me, so then we can hold each other accountable for the money and make sure the money goes to buy the properties that we say we need to buy. Yeah, that's what we need to have. Just a word of thought. But we're going to start holding those folks accountable that we're giving our money to. Yeah. We got to start holding them accountable. Got to start holding folks accountable. But that's where we at, people. I call that, it's the pie theory. I don't know, you all probably heard of my pie theory before. It's in No Covers Book 1. I write about the pie theory, but it's my pie theory. I wrote it when I was a couple years ago. And it simply goes, there's 12 people in the room and there's 8 slices of pie. They give out the pies and there's 4 people in the room that didn't get a slice. Those 4 people in the room represent you, our community. We didn't get a slice of the pie. There's 8 people that got a slice and they're eating well. Look over there, look across the street. They're eating real well. And sometimes they share the pie with some of the people on the other 4 because that's an option. So the 3 options that I came with for the 4 that didn't get a piece of the pie, they can beg and hope that somebody in the room have a heart and give them a slice of pie. Some of the 8 will hand you a slice from time to time. They're not going to give you their whole slice. They're just going to give you a piece of the pie and let you taste what it tastes like. But they're not going to give you the whole pie. When you finish, you're still going to be hungry for more because they're only going to give you a piece of their pie, a slice of the piece of their slice. But if they give you their whole slice, they have none. So at the end of the day, you're still going to be hungry for more, waiting for them to give you a slice or a piece of their slice. The other option, we can make our own. Unfortunately, we've lost some of the ability to do that because we've lost the structure, but we still can do that. You send a declawed cat back to the alley, sometimes they still can survive. We've been declawed, we've been spoiled, but we'll have to make our own pie. Because the third option that this generation sees, they want to take the pie. And if this generation decides to take the third option, we are all in trouble. because then we're going to have a mess on our hands. Victoria, I know you, I got to put a shout out to my brother. You all that's on the Facebook line is still there. Victoria's having some trouble, and I got to shout out to my brother. I had to think about what you said. I didn't see you call in on the line, but I had to think about what you said, and I saw your comments, and I know you're really frustrated, brother. I'm going to do this in the last 3 minutes that I have. I'm going to appeal to you. And I'm going to appeal to you from a standpoint of this, because I know what you're dealing with. The brother went down, and anybody that knows my brother, Kahan, Victoria, anybody that knows him knows he's very outspoken. And he's a poet. And a lot of times when he does poetry jams, his poetry can come off offensive. I mean, very raw. I mean, he used to do the poetry jam with me, and I used to be fearful that I would have to come behind him. I would always, please put me on before Kahan, because when Kahan get up there, it might not be a lot of left in the room sometime, because he comes slamming. I'm straight talk, no chaser. He straight talk, don't even give you nothing. He don't give you no penicillin shot, or he just comes straight with it. No buff at all. So I say this to you, brother. I understand your pain, but I say this as a person who formerly was a person that put my faith on my cloth. And I don't do that anymore. A person that stood on street corners in the city and sold papers, a person that stood guard for people, a person that stood in front of buildings and made sure people were secure, a person that were out on the front street of the line. I mean, hot sun, bow tie down, suit down, on the front line. So I say that from a person who's had cars ride by and shout racial insults to me. Shout insults. I mean, just downright nasty insults. Throw water bottles at us. I mean, yeah. And we had to chase them down now. But yeah, we've had some people do that. So I say that to you, coming to you from a brother who's been in that perspective. I've been on the side of one receiving those insults. And I had to look at it from a standpoint of the faith that I was carrying might be an insult to someone else. And they had the right to be insulted. The faith that I was advocating might have been an insult to them. And they might want to say something vocally about it. And I didn't like that. So I know where you're coming from. But I say to you that the same way you perceive that group, we may ask how they may perceive you. Mom always said that sometimes it gets better to get bees with honey. And sometimes the way that we present it can be just as distasteful as the thing that we're looking at. If you understand what I'm saying. Sometimes the way we present things can come off just as nasty as what we see, or what we think we see, or what we perceive as nasty. So I say that in your presentation to you, that when you present or when you deal with that particular aspect of the community, that's just where it's at now. And I'm glad you feel me, because I love you as my brother, number one. You've been my brother for years, but I have to say that to you because you could get more bees with honey. And if that's the intent of the group, to remove your thought process, well, Darrell Brown has a place and Sportsman has a place. Create your own atmosphere. Create your own, you create your own. I understand. They're going to get offended. So create your vacuum where you can do what you think. That's one thing I say. It's over the weekend, we had a big argument about the ad that they put out in the paper with the gentleman that had the ad for the rental property. And because we got upset because he used the word Kool-Aid and jungle juice. And then we come find out later that in actuality, black folks own the property. They had just went to a white realtor to be the managing person for it. We look silly. Arguing all weekend on property that we owned ourselves. But my first comment was, why is that person like that managing our property? Why don't we control and dictate? And that's what the whole generational process is about. So love you, brother. And I mean it too. I love you too. As always, I love you. I love you as a brother. And I just had to give that to you as a brother to brother, that sometimes, I feel you. I know your pain, that particular subject. And I know how you as a Hebrew feel about that. But in my love, I tell you, I have been through that too. And, you know, sometimes just feel me. And I appreciate you. And I love that you said that. And I mean that too, my brother. Pastor Campbell, 12:30 every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I see you in the house. Appreciate you for being in the house. This is WLTT 1180, y'all. Come back. This show is called No Covers Live, Straight Talk, No Chaser. I'll be back at you on Wednesday at 12:30. Come in. We'll be dealing with money matters on Wednesday. We're talking about that money, how to make some of it, how to build this black enterprise in our community. And I ain't ashamed to call it black, because I want to see black laundromats, black stores, black restaurants, black cleaners, black hairdressers. I want to see something other than hairdressers and funeral homes, though. I'm tired every time I turn around, I got a listing for the black hairdressers and black funeral homes. I want to be some black production companies being made, and not no music. Let's make some products. Make some shirts, some ties, some jeans. Yeah, make some clothing lines up in here. Yeah, we can do this, y'all. If you can't get the loan from the bank, get with 3, 4, 5 people and y'all go together and get the loan. And if you got a product that's good and he got a product that's good, put the product together and make one and share the wealth. Stop being so stingy with each other. Help each other grow. And if we grow as one, we grow as a community. Hey, y'all heard about it. We going FM, y'all. It's coming. So FM is coming. It's coming. We testing it. You got the announcement the other night at the banquet. It's going to go FM. It's going to go live. We're going to be able to stretch out. We're going to be the voice for the community. It's coming. The Urban Connection. Peace and blessing, y'all. I'll see you all back here on Wednesday.